Greetings, friends, and welcome to the woods. I want to pick up where I left off about discerning truth, knowing truth when it's presented to you, because it's very critical for our time period right now to be able to validate your observations with your soul, because your eyes, your brain, it's becoming very difficult to understand when a narrative has misdirected things and when deep fakes are presented to you as reality, it can be very difficult to figure out what's going on. So we talked about how you have to find your authentic self. And in doing so, that allows you to align with source. You can put forward the desire to be communing with source and spend a few moments in your day, a few minutes, and clear away the noise. Express your desire to commune with source, and then listen. Open up to the silence and listen. Feel. Sometimes it's not a sound. Sometimes it's a feeling. Sometimes it's just an energy that passes through. But it will make you stronger. If it doesn't make you stronger, there's something going on. It should make you more vital. It should make you stronger. It should ease your mind. It should clear your anxieties. It should give you a confidence, a certainty in yourself. When you align with source, it's a feeling of peace, but also happiness, but also vitality. That's the space you want to be in to heal. When there's an illness or an injury, to heal, that's the space you want to find. And sometimes there's obstructions to that. One of the best ways to remove those obstructions is levity. Levity lifts the burden. It can knock things out of your path. Humor, joking, which is one of the reasons why those who seek to control us want to control or get rid of humor, because it works against their agenda. They're all about placing opposition, placing things in our way. And they don't want us to have the tools to remove those blockages. So, levity, especially if you're ill, especially if you're twisted up. Now, those people who were targeted as children, and I'll tell you, predators have a sense of which children are the brightest, which ones have the most vitality. They target children for a number of reasons. When you're a child, you have a lot of energy lined up behind you to push you into your new life, to launch you into your new life. It takes an extra boost to get you going, to get that momentum going. And children have that. They're still plugged into source. They still have a foot in both worlds. And that's so that their body can develop. Their physical body, their astral body, when they hit the puberty stage, that's when the emotional body, the astral body develops for about 7 years. And then they hit the development of the higher mind functions. And you got another 7 years of the mind developing, the mental body. So development. But if you catch a human before they've really launched, you can pull all of that energy off of them and use it to empower you and your projects and your desires. You can get drunk off of it. You can stay young with it, but it's not yours. When predators do that, they create inclusions in their soul integrity, because they're pulling off the energy of someone else, something they have not created. And it breaks down the wholeness of what they are, which it takes them out of integrity, out of authenticity. So it breaks down their connection to the divine. That's why vampires have no soul. By that, what is meant is that connectivity they have to source, which should be feeding them and making them live. They don't have that. So they have to take the vitality from those around them. And they get an enormous amount of energy. And they put all that energy into manipulation and control of those around them. But when they lose this, they lose sovereignty. They lose true sovereignty. They have to get their power from outside of themselves, from other people who do have sovereignty. And they lose the power to generate. They can't create. They can't create life. They can't create art. They can take other people's and corrupt it. They can add their own elements into it, their own agendas into it. But they can't create, because creation is an act of drawing down the divine energies, the energies on a higher plane, onto this one and breathing life into it, putting a little bit of yourself into it to gift it life, to make it real, regardless of what you're creating. And that's the connection between founder and what has been created. They can't do that. They get other people to do it for them, and then they turn it to their agenda, but they can't honestly create. And when children are taken by these predators who feed off their life force, it stunts their ability to push forward in life. It takes away some of that would have given them strong bodies and strong minds. And it's not to say that that can't be overcome. It can. But there must be struggle to heal from that experience. When predators take from someone else, they're stealing the God force, they're stealing source energy. When they take from a child, they're able to reach through that child and grab a hold of the divine force itself. And they're not just messing with humans, they're messing with that which creates us. Big problem there, which is one of the reasons why the positive force, the pro-existence, the procreation forces of the universe seeks to create heroic people to counteract the predators. It's a battle. It goes back and forth. Now, children who have been harmed, where their emotional energy have been fed off by small predators, other humans who figure out that they can steal life force by generating negativity, or big predators, the real dangerous ones, who aren't human at all and who have decided to use humans as their feeding stock or as their income. Regardless, those who survive wind up having to twist themselves up to create a narrative to survive the difficulties they experience and to make it okay. And because of that, the ability to find the authentic self can be difficult. Some of them turn to um, different substances that will open up the energy centers of the body that have been shut down hard and closely guarded to prevent the predators to incur into the essence of their being. In an attempt to unlock those once they reach an adult state and can defend themselves, some people turn to chemical means, to elemental means, um, alcohol, um, recreationals, recreational drugs. It's understandable, and sometimes they're successful, and sometimes the spirit of what they are imbibing will take them over while it provides a bridge to a part of themselves that they have locked down. It can also lean into their being. It fills the cavern of their access, but in some ways that will compromise them as well, because it becomes a part of them that they can't shake. And the more they crave the desire to be complete in themselves and in their authentic self, to find their soul source, to hold it dear and close, they lean into these allies, for lack of a better term, that bridge the gap, but can also take over their life and make it very difficult for them to function here in the physical with the rest of us. There has to be other ways, and there are, but it requires the intervention and assistance of other people, just as the damage was done by others. The healing, ideally, takes a community or several people to ease them through that internal lockdown, to help them find their way and to establish it without needing to call in external forces that they take into their bodies to artificially jumpstart that process or force that process, because there are prices to that that can at times override the benefits. So a point I'm trying to make is that there are special cases, there are people where it's not just the simple act of inviting source to come through and in and out and connecting. Sometimes it gets a bit complicated, but there are ways around it. And if you look around at what our leaders call the addiction crisis, and you put it in context with what may have happened, what probably happened to those who get lost. And it could have happened very, very early in their life. And it could have been something that others wouldn't understand to be abuse. It could have been being screamed at. It could have been their peers beating on them. There's all sorts of ways to shut down a sensitive. There's all sorts of ways to twist a human psyche. But once you understand the process, you can find solutions. And welcome to the woods.